You're listening to Plants and Politics with Gina Bonanno-Lemos. If you're ready to hear the truth about both sides of the aisle, what's really going on in America, and how big money interests prevent change to keep you sick, broke, and desperate, then play on. Everyone, this is Gina. Welcome to Plants and Politics. So, big news breaking this afternoon. There was a complaint filed in New York federal court today that alleges sexual misconduct by Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Ed Henry, and Howard Kurtz. Now, Ed Henry had been ousted from Fox already under allegations, pretty proven allegations, after their internal review of his sexual misconduct. But this new lawsuit brings up more details and more information about him. So one of the charges includes violation of federal sex trafficking laws. Not sure exactly how that fits in. I'm not an attorney, so I don't know. But the plaintiffs are Jennifer Eckhart and Kathy Aru, I think is how you pronounce her last name. So Jennifer Eckhart has been with Fox for over 7 years. She's worked in a multitude of positions. Kathy Aru has apparently been a frequent guest on Fox since 2008, and she also writes a monthly op-ed for their website. In the complaint, it says, quote, "Some of the names in leadership may have changed since Roger Ailes' regime, but Fox News' institutional apathy towards sexual misconduct has not." So according to the complaint, Jennifer Eckhart notified Fox News that she had retained legal counsel and was making allegations against Ed Henry and Fox News. She alleges that it was only after that they fired him. So I'll give you the details. So it says that basically Ed Henry began preying upon her when she was 24 years old, and that he used his, quote, position of power over her and her career. He also asked her to be his, quote, sex slave and little whore. He also threatened her with punishment and retaliation if she didn't comply, and he coerced her into a sexual relationship by, of course, holding this power over her head. And it alleges that he forced himself upon her and forced her to perform oral sex on him in one very disturbing incident in 2015, which they go into detail on. Keep in mind, while he's doing all this, he's married. Party of family values here. So when she did not accede to his demands, he sexually assaulted her at the office, which I just mentioned, the incident in 2015. And she alleges that he raped her in a hotel. He allegedly violently raped her and performed, quote, sadistic acts on her without her consent that left her injured, bruised, and battered with bloody wrists. So while she was restrained in handcuffs, he also took naked photos of her, which he held over her head and, used them to keep her in line. So the lawsuit alleges that Fox knew of Ed Henry's sexual misconduct as far back as 2017, but they continued to give him promotions. So again, she alleges that he was only fired because she notified them that she had retained an attorney, and they were worried because this was obviously going to become public. The fact that they're trying to make themselves out to be these disciples of moral dignity and they stepped up and immediately took action against him is a bunch of bullshit. So she provided text messages from Ed Henry, and they did include them in the lawsuit. I don't know if this is all of them, but here's some that really stood out. He sent her a text that said #obey or #discipline. Another said, "Fuck you and your safe word. I'll let you know when I'm done." Another said, "When you're owned, you don't get a choice." Another said, "You know who your daddy is. Good long session last time. Left you bruised, dazed, sated, begging for more." Batter, really? Hashtag perfect was at the end of that one. And then Miss Eckhart also alleges that her direct boss, Liz Clement, who's an anchor with Fox, demanded that she perform humiliating duties and berated her on multiple occasions. That stuff, I don't know. I read through it and it didn't seem that bad. I think was a little overly sensitive in a couple of the things that her boss said to her. The other plaintiff, Kathy Aru, alleges that Ed Henry, now she makes allegations against a multitude of people over at Fox. So she alleges that Ed Henry sent her, same guy, sent her a ton of inappropriate sexual messages and sexual images, including some suggesting that she have sex with him. So one of the videos that she received from him was titled "Fastest Interview, Candidate Selected in 3 Seconds." Now, in the video, a woman exposes her vagina and the interviewer indicates that she got the job. After he sent her this video, he sent her text messages saying, "Are you available for anchor interviews?" So Kathy Aru, remember, she has been a guest on Fox, but she has never had a full-time permanent position, and apparently that's what she was really interested in. Many of these men knew that, and so obviously he was trying to coerce her into a sexual relationship, or at least that's what the allegation is in this lawsuit, in exchange for help with getting a permanent full-time position. She also alleges that in March of this year, I believe it may have been last year, I apologize, Sean Hannity threw a $100 bill on his desk in front of the entire crew and called out to all of the men in the room and, quote, demanding that someone take Ms. Aru out on a date for drinks. He also allegedly chided one of the male employees for, quote, being afraid to take out a beautiful woman. She provided a picture, actually, that showed her with Sean Hannity, when she appeared on his show that night. And it does show the $100 bill on the desk. So she alleges that because of her failure to play along with this, that she was rarely invited back as a guest. So that one, I don't know. That one's kind of like, it's iffy. No overt sexual assault. He wasn't necessarily coming on to her, but there could be something there with harassment. This one's a little more obvious. So Tucker Carlson apparently has had her on his show quite a bit. After one segment was done filming, he had one of his people ask her to stay after filming the show. So it says, quote, following the show, Mr. Carlson began telling Ms. Aru that he would be alone in New York City that night and specifically said that he would be staying alone in his hotel room without any wife or kids. It also says, quote, without question, Mr. Carlson was probing to see whether Ms. Aru was interested in a sexual relationship. So she claims that when she declined his invitation, which she did that night, that she was retaliated against. So, for example, in 2018, she appeared on his show 17 times. And in 2019, he only asked her on the show 3 times. And this year, she has not been asked to appear at all. So Howard Kurtz, I'm not sure, to be honest, what his position at Fox is. I believe he has a show, but apparently she had an email exchange with him and she was asking for his advice in how to obtain a full-time position at Fox. They exchanged, pleasant emails back and forth. And then apparently a few months later, on July 9th, 2019, he was in New York City and he invited her to his hotel. He asked her to meet him in the lobby to discuss things, and she declined, but she instead invited him to come out to dinner with her and a friend. and he refused. So she, of course, alleges that he only wanted to meet with her if they could meet in private. That one, I don't know, going to be hard to prove, but maybe. So the following morning, after she invited him to dinner with a friend, the following morning he refused to meet with her. And then shortly after that incident, and this is where it becomes a little more obvious, he told her, in not these exact words, but to paraphrase what he said, quote, "You're the only woman here who won't come to my hotel room." So she also makes some allegations and some claims against Fox News political analyst Gianno Caldwell, but again, they're not as blatant as some of the other allegations. So Fox has a long history. I mean, how many men now have been fired from over there? And Roger Ailes was the top dog and the creator, really, of what we know as Fox News today. And he was one of the worst, one of the biggest contributors to this horrific culture at Fox News. I just don't know what to say. Again, party of family values, guys. So as always, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Be sure to visit me over on YouTube, where you can like and subscribe and ring the bell so you'll be notified immediately of any new videos I post. Take care, guys. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.